It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now for my favorite part of the show, wherein I guess what's in Tim's background. And Tim, I got to think it's going to be this full-color poster of the absolutely ripped, bare-chested Luigi Mangione that is hanging on your prison wall right now. Now you're just using it to cover up that hole you've been digging for 27 years to get out of there. But I get it. And, you know, I mean, who is not, you know, attracted to, if not the man's body, but certainly his ideas and what he embodies as well.
Sure.
Am I right about that?
Well, your guess is that, like the former mayor that of Chicago, I'm turning Japanese, but no. I'm outside New Jersey right now, and look at how spectacular those drones are right now.
Well, I gotta tell you, between those drones, and I was just reading this, and you know, of all the places, like in a Kevin Williamson column this week, that Moscow claims the Cosmos 2553 is out there in space. Its newly developed onboard instruments and systems can fight radiation. It's not armed, but it has the potential to knock out all our satellites. Now, between that and what's flying over New Jersey from Iran or whatever, although it looks a little bit like Flipper, but
it looks a little bit like a whale, which like one of the ones that actually were washing up on the coast. So okay. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe the whales have launched the drone attack.
It looks like it's going to run into a Chinese balloon. But I just, you know, it's just weird. I'm just wondering if, you know, we're not concentrating on the right, if we're distracted by Luigi Mangione right now and his terrific six-pack. But and just not focusing on the right thing.
He is. Those abs cannot be straight. That's
well, here's the thing. You know, it's an interesting thing about Luigi, and here's my idea. I'll blow it right here. I mean, I was going to tease it, but because I haven't seen anybody else. I mean, this story's been covered wall to wall already. And we know more about him than, you know, we've known about like at least 90% of the presidential candidates or defense secretary nominees in our lifetime. But I'm going to think that Bud Light, the marketing people there, are thinking right now, you know, they have not recovered at all. I mean, they've tried to, you know, counter the whole thing, you know, with the transsexual thing. They went with Peyton Manning and all these macho guys and everything. But I mean, what could be better than endorsing your own six packs of Bud with his six pack? I mean, it was made in heaven. I got to think there's an endorsement, and that's going to save them because they'll be niche because they've lost everything, but they'll get, you know, people who hate their insurance companies. Guys who are sitting on the couch drinking that piss beer, Bud Light, and angry at the insurance companies, even though after all it was you and me who created those insurance companies. But I just look, I'm just tossing it out there. Everybody's got
a little Woody Guthrie there. Those insurance companies were made by you and me. I disagree, Bruce, on this one. Because I believe that would be the same demographic that they tried to go after with Dylan Mulvaney. Was that his name?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Oh.
That was the same demographic. That would be the same demographic, and that's not the Bud Light demographic.
No, I understand that. Here's the thing.
Bud Light. No. You're not aware. Bud Light is aware of the mistake, and they have zoned in on their demographic. I don't know if you've seen the new commercial with Shane Gillis.
I've seen all these commercials, and it's still not working. They're tanking, and that's why I'm saying attract. Well, maybe double down is what I'm saying on those.
You've seen the Shane Gillis one.
Yeah, I saw that one too. It still isn't working, right?
Well, I think it's new. I think it just came out.
No. It's been out for a few weeks already.
Few weeks. Well, I think that's it because Shane Gillis lines up perfectly with the Bud Light demographic, and they're also kind of copping to their mistake, saying, "Woo, we put the wrong guy in the wrong ad."
Look, I just think what beer drinkers appreciate best is a good pun, and you got six packs and six packs, and it's going to make you feel like if you drink enough Bud Light, you can look like this guy too. I'm just anyway. It's look. I'm throwing it out there.
Sure.
Maybe they can't get in much worse shape. All right, we'll come back to Luigi because I mean he's something that you should cover in all segments of the show. But hey, how about Daniel Perry getting not guilty? Thought for sure when the judge dismissed that reckless count that they were aiming for a compromise verdict on the negligence, and nope, jury came back with not guilty. Phew. And of course the jury's racist, even though there were 4 blacks on it.
No,
but,
you know what the jury was? Subway riders. When you assemble 12 people that think $25 a day is a good payday, you have Subway riders, and every one of those jurors was a Subway rider.
Were they actually asked that in voir dire if they're subway riders? Although I guess just about everybody in New York.
Except for the very rich, the ones who can afford drivers.
Right.
So
I'm just wondering about that. So John Podhoretz, whom I steal from all the time, so let's just put him up here on a tweet. Actually ran the New York Times headline after this and the first paragraph of the story. And he said, actual in print New York Times headline about pending acquittal, in case you were wondering what a garbage newspaper is. And the headline was, jury acquits man who was choking rider on subway, cleared of homicide, split reaction to a case reflecting tensions in New York City. And if you can actually read the first paragraph, which I read not off the screen there, it's a little too small for me there, but the guy that wound up dying was referred to as a fellow subway rider.
Yeah.
So everybody rides the subways, including these lunatics who were.
Well, that's actually a downgrade, because when the story first popped out, he was a Michael Jackson impersonator.
Right. Okay. Well,
and I think that I think they were trying to stoke a riot in advance of the election by calling. And that's all the pictures they showed were him impersonating the pictures and the videos of him impersonating Michael Jackson. And I think in a lot of people's minds, it was just some guy on the subway doing his little Thriller dance, and all of a sudden this racist gets PTSD and jumps up and starts joking. I hate Michael Jackson.
Totally. Right. Variation on the Tom Wolfe Bonfire of the Vanities theme of the kid who was killed was an honor student, which meant that he showed up to class, and also every time that some minority kid winds up in a gang fight and dies, they show his graduation picture with the cap and gown. Sure. so yeah, I get it. Right. And I missed Chris's insert right there. Chris, do you want to put that up again, because I'm sure it's very important and relevant to the discussion on Mr. Penny. Oh, remember the reports are the jury included 4 black people and 2 Hispanics. Yes, I did mention I didn't give the number of the blacks, but right. I mean, well, remember even New York City went redder, as every state in the union did in the last election. So, you had. And why do we?
Are we going to talk about Time Magazine?
Sure.
Or can we bring it up? Can we bring it up here?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Talk right now.
Oh yeah. Okay. I didn't know if we wanted to tease it for another segment or talk about it now.
We could talk about it now and then whatever. What, Time Magazine naming Trump the Person of the Year?
Yeah, and President of the Divided States of America, I believe.
Look, all I can tell you is Hitler was on the cover of Time Magazine too. So the Hitler
No, I'm not criticizing Trump. Obviously, it had to be Trump. Be Trump. There's no question that he was the Person of the Year. But the thing is, divided states of America, we aren't that divided. I mean, even the traditionally blue states were pretty close to 50-50.
Well, they went redder. Every state in the union was redder in this election, but that doesn't mean that. Right. And look, I mean,
yeah, we're not that divided. That's my point.
Well, I mean,
not the states, and at least not the states.
And we'll get into this, but there doesn't seem to be, well, here's the thing. Luigi Mangione is the face of the resistance now. Okay. Well, because everybody else is just, Van Jones on CNN is shrugging his shoulders like nobody cares about us anymore. We're getting 1 million, 2 million people, and these streamers are getting 14 million. So Right. That's they're out of sorts. They're not like they were. Chris Wray resigned yesterday. There's a report out just as we're taping this that the J6 informants, 26 J6 informants, apparently were not prosecuted, and this comes right on the heels of Wray resigning yesterday. So obviously that means let's take some logical leaps here, that the whole thing was an inside job by the FBI and Ray Epps. And not only should the J6 informants, all the people who are in prison, be liberated, but they should be given congressional medals of honor, and Liz Cheney should be in jail. I get that. So we don't even have to discuss it, but if you'd like, go ahead and tell me what you think of this, which just came out. And
well, first of all, I think 26. I think they're lowballing that. I think there were far, but I think they said at least 26 or 26. We will admit to.
I basically think that there were like 10 people who actually were demonstrators, and the other 2,000 were just,
Well, that was the Whitmer. That was the Whitmer kidnapping. There were actually twice as many informants as there were
there you go.
perps.
There you go.
So by that metric, there should have been about 2,000 FBI informants.
So your view on this, and it's just coming in right now, and I have not had a chance to adjudicate it, much less read a paragraph on it. So what's
wait?
view?
Yeah, has it showed up on Twitter yet, huh, Bruce?
I need to have somebody fashion my opinion. I haven't even heard a commentary podcast on it yet. What are we supposed to do? I think I did pretty well for just hearing about it in this 1 second, because we know how these stories go. But go ahead. What do you think of it?
I think we're at 11:45.
You're exactly right, but we'll pick it up in the next segment. Tim, going time on me. Okay, I'm you know what I'm like? I'm like Matt Eberflus. I'm totally oblivious to the clock, and you know what happened to him? Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and Tim. Yeah, I know, accusing me of, like the Rules Committee, burying it, tabling the motion. Calling for cloture, whatever. We're going right back to the story that we know nothing about, except for, a headline and a couple of paragraphs. That here it is from Nick Sorter. Breaking: an Inspector General report has just revealed there were at least 26 FBI informants on the Capitol grounds on January 6th. At least 3 of them entered the Capitol building. We've been lied to. Accountability is coming, all caps. So that's
there you go.
Nick
so
Sartor.
so are FBI informants allowed to commit felonies? Because that's what wasn't that what they're charging everyone who entered the building with?
Well, no, I think the question right now, which I'm just inferring because I haven't read anything more than this Nick Sorter tweet, is that there's a problem if they committed crimes and they weren't charged with anything, and
sure.
and also that their information was useless. I mean, it'd be one thing if they did anything. This is from
that's
3
under
entered the building, 13 entered the restricted space. If you tell me that Ashley Babbitt was an oh no, she wouldn't have been shot then, right? She would. Oh, come on in, Ashley. Attack Mike Pence right now. We got to make this look good. Okay, yeah, right. All right, what do you think?
Well, first of all, you're assuming that they did not know that was going to happen. It's which is something I disagree with. They knew full well that there was going to be a riot, and they wanted one because they were about to discuss whether or not certain electoral votes should be dismissed in the House and Senate. That was what was supposed to happen.
Well, they wanted a riot. Wait, let me get this straight. They wanted a riot because they knew what a crock of baloney the whole argument was over something that was supposed to be pro forma.
No,
but Mike Pence is a traitor.
In
other words, Mike Pence deserved to be shot by Ashley Babbitt. That's what, right?
What?
Is that what you're saying?
Wait, that's a stretch there. So you're saying that Ashley Babbitt was hunting down Mike Pence?
Well, she was trying to get through a barricade, or no? What
a door? A door. She was.
There was no barricade there. There weren't chairs barricading.
Nope.
There was no warnings. Nothing.
Nope. Nope. It was a door with a glass window. The window had been broken out, and she
A
hopped
window,
through the
a
broken window.
window broken out. Let's see. I
Well,
mean,
yeah. Well, I'm just
yeah,
saying.
because you know what? Anytime, first of all, I have unlawfully entered a building. What I want to do is I want to go through a broken window, in a broken window in a door in the halls of Congress.
Well, the crowd
There's
behind
nothing
her,
wrong
the
with
crowd
that.
behind her was pressing. I mean, she had to. Otherwise she would have been crushed to death like that.
Oh,
like
she
that.
was forced to
Yeah,
go
she was
through.
forced
Yeah,
forced through the window.
she was she was forced through the sphincter of the window. Okay, I get it.
But that's
yeah.
that's beside
All
the
right,
point.
all
Is the
right, all
House
right.
the House and Senate were going to consider whether or not electoral votes should be dismissed. And which if there enough were dismissed, that would throw the election into the House. And by the numbers that were there, it would have likely made Trump the president. I mean, that was essentially the plan, and it was in action when the riot began. And that riot chased all the senators and representatives down to the basement for several hours. And when they came back, they were in no mood to hold a real
Yeah, right.
debate on
Okay. All
whether
right.
or
Well,
not
that's an
the
interesting
election.
theory. I mean, look. Okay. I mean, at a certain point, I do have to. We'll revisit this one. I know it's not going to blow over the Christmas holiday. It's going to be there just as much as that Iranian spaceship that looks like a whale is going to be flying overhead you in New Jersey. So we'll revisit that. I promise. Absolutely. At any time. We can be in the middle of talking about the Bears search for a head coach, and you could say, I want to talk about those at least 26 J6 defendants. So
Well, the reason why I did it is because I know now Tom Owens has stopped listening to us. So
Tom Owens, of course, is our listener.
who
You'd think that he'd have a
who leaves every time
Yeah.
we start talking about election fraud. So
right. And that's our niche. That's what gets us in the top 3 million is that we're still litigating the 2020 election. Which, by the speak of the devil, Trump, when he was on Meet the Press, my understanding, and you know that I didn't actually watch the Meet the Press interview, but my understanding is that he did pretty well, even among rhinos viewing it like me. But of course, he had to still assert that he did not lose the 2020 election, so they were still talking about it. Because I think Kristen Welker of Meet the Press said, in the interest of unity, would you like to, now that you've won the 2024, you think you'd like to concede the 2020? He said, no way. So he doubled down on that. So
it's that question kind of reminds me, how was the 2020 election legitimate? It's kind of like they ask everybody that. It reminds me of, are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party?
Right. And who hasn't? I mean, like every 9-year-old is, right? Well, yeah, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Yeah, right. I dig. No. So, right, legitimate. I mean, there's all kinds of, you and I know. I'll take the Justice Potter Stewart vision on this. What he said about pornography. I know it when I see it. I know illegitimacy when I see it, and I haven't seen it yet, but you have. We'll bring it up again. But anyway, that question was asked, but otherwise he did pretty well. Let's go back. We got to talk about Luigi Mangione here a little bit. Do we have that Nick Adams tweet? But Nick Adams, who, by the way, followed me. I don't know if that is a big score in for Chris, who monitors all these things. Is that a big thing, Chris, that Nick Adams followed me on Twitter? Do you think? I mean, who is Nick Adams? He's supposedly, by his own, of course, by my own Twitter profile,
600,000 followers.
Huh?
You got 600,000 followers.
600,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And most of my 8,000 followers are dead.
But so does Nick Sortor, and you just kind of pissed on him. So
yeah. Well, Nick Adams followed me, and I forgot what it was for, but I think it was I think somebody on CNN had said something like, well, both in the Daniel Penny case and in Luigi Mangione, I mean, you have vigilante justice. Oh, right. CNN just compared Nick writes, Daniel Penny, Luigi Mangione, tell me which vigilante action is okay. And of course, I responded, this is why Nick followed me, is because I said, the CNN person who said that was doing a little bit of question begging, because by definition, because of the jury's verdict in the Penny case, he wasn't a vigilante. He wasn't working outside of the law. He was actually operating within the law. That's why he was found not guilty. So that's, blurring the distinction between Mangione and Daniel Penny is, why CNN has 12 million fewer followers or listeners than your typical podcast. So,
I'm happy. I'm happy that there's a for me less popular Mangione than Chuck.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
that was move to the I wonder,
Oh
yeah. I don't know if you ever watched King of the Hill, but in that one, Chuck Mangione lives inside an end cap in the Megalomart, which always cracked me up.
Well, King of the Hill has got it. He's got it nailed. So, all right. So
I think, and here's the thing, he shot him in the back.
Right.
It's anyone who grew up with John Wayne knows you don't shoot someone in the back. No. That's you face them down like a man.
Right. But, then you got guys like, and I like Bill Burr to some extent. He's a funny guy. I can't remember what your opinion was on Bill Burr. I can't remember.
Neutral.
Okay, neutral. Anyway, I mean, he was on SNL recently, kind of ripped. Kamala was pretty good. I just saw a clip, and I wouldn't watch the whole thing. He says, it was kind of the typical liberal response. Well, it's an awful thing, but these CEOs deserve to be killed, to be afraid. And I think that's a bunch of garbage.
Elizabeth Warren actually said that there's no justification, but when people are pushed far enough, that's what happens.
No.
Kind of like January 6th.
You could be pushed only so far. I'm wondering if Bill Burr were actually. It's too bad that he's already been on SNL. If he came on and in his monologue, man, that's a live show. He started saying, but. I think that there would actually be some people booing the monologue on SNL. And you know what?
No.
You don't think so?
I think you're in your bubble on this one, Bruce. You're not reading the room on this one.
All right, go ahead. Tell me. What's the room?
Did you see Jon Stewart's episode on Monday where when they said Luigi got caught? People were the opposite of that. They were booing that someone turned him in.
No, I understand. I know what's going on.
The crowd in SNL was going to be similar to the Daily Show crowd.
Well, first of all, is there really a Daily Show crowd? I thought it was canned. But is there really
there's
one?
There's a live audience.
Okay. Yeah, but I just thought that, first of all, because I saw the Weekend Update on SNL with regard to this last week, and they were like slack-jawed, like the reactions are, he's hot, and it was making fun of those very people. So, I'm just wondering. But yeah, there is unfortunately, there's a large contingent that likes this guy. And
a disturbingly large contingent.
Speak of the Daily Show, it's because they like him because he's good looking. The Daily Show even said that as well. So I think the Daily Show goes both ways. I think a lot of people are going both ways. We've got to go to a little break right here, but we'll pick this up. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And let's continue right now with our discussion about whether we're being ripped off by the health insurers, so much so that we should be joining the revolution. I say we all are entitled to join the revolution if we were as physically fit as Luigi Mangione. I mean, from the abs, from the front, the back, of course. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, and that was probably what led to the psychedelic drugs. And for all we know, that's really the father of all of this. It was a drug induced thing, and it has nothing to do with ideology. You don't buy that?
I'm just puzzled with the back of him.
He had a terrible back injury, I think, from
Oh,
surfing.
surfing. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling it now.
Well, I think you're concerned about what's going to happen to him in prison, and you know how the back of him. I get that.
Well,
No.
I'm also speculating, on other things. Not like there's anything wrong with that.
No, not
It's
whatsoever.
those
But
abs.
anyway,
No, those are not straight abs. No,
oh, you don't think so?
I don't think straight men have abs like that. No, I do not.
Oh, I see.
That's just my opinion. That's the go-to guy response. When
sure?
a girl goes,
when
a girl goes, look how hot he is. They go, well, yeah, but he's gay.
Oh, totally. Look, I'm with you, and I'm look. You know me. I'm not with you on J6 and all that, but I'm with you on this. Yeah, no, I don't want to. I would love to think that. Sure, that's impossible.
But there's only one way to get abs like that, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, the problem is that we know everything there is to know about this guy already, and nowhere in his history do we see that that he had that inclination.
Well, would that be news? A gay millennial in 2024. That's not news.
Look, first of all, the private lives of everybody is now public. Witness Pete Hegseth's mother's email printed in the New York Times. So we're entitled to all information about everybody. There is no privacy. So we'll reserve judgment on that. Now, what I wanted to talk about in a more serious vein, just to justify all the lewd talk that we have here, is that I saw this tweet from Harry Enton. Is he a CNN guy or whatever? But basically, it came down to Americans like their own health care. Because we're thinking that everybody hates the health care in America. It reminds me of how people view Congress. Congress is held in such low regard, but everybody likes his own congressman. And note the pronoun use I have there when I used his, because I believe, as far as pronouns go, I tell you what your pronoun is. You don't tell me what your pronoun is. Okay? Capiche? Anyway, but you agreed? I mean, people make a big stink about healthcare, but when it comes down to it,
the people who make a big stink don't have it. Basically, it's for whatever reason, that they don't. Right. The kiddie shelter they work at doesn't provide health benefits, or it's people that have it pretty much like it. It's the American system seems to work much better than the European. And I don't, they're talking about claims denied.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Would you rather have those claims denied by a private company or the government? Because when it's a private company, you have an ability, for retribution. You can have it reviewed. You can sue them. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with a private company. But when the government says no, we can't afford heart surgery, take a pain pill. Now,
my understanding is that if you have like a broken bone or whatever, you might want to go to England, if you could afford the freight to take care of that. But for something like cancer, you want to be here.
Yeah.
They'll, so it's not like
dental work.
What?
Or dental work. You don't want to go to England for dental work.
Well, right. Our dental work has been top notch since George Washington commandeered the slave's teeth, and he set the precedent, as it were, for dental care. All right, switching a little bit right here. Did you know that Illinois may get a new state flag? This is very important. A new state flag. Yeah, now, I was worried that it was like automatic that they were going to get rid of the traditional one, which I believe is a white background and an American eagle, and it looks, it's so It's so
Looks-
18th century. You got to
looks
love
too
it.
looks too Republican. Is that
Yeah.
is that
Wait,
the
wait,
criticism
but
of it?
so there's a submission for all these new ones. And I wish everybody could see this, but one has a butterfly in it. One looks this close to a rainbow, whatever. And
Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't. Yeah, there were no submissions that had rainbows or Palestinian logos.
it was close to it. The our buddy Jim Pethokoukis looked at these and he said, these look like submissions for a flag for the People's Republic of Illinois." So a lot of them. Now
that one that's at the top of the screen right now, it's our list.
Sphincter, did you say?
Yeah. Chris just had to shout it out. I couldn't even make reference to it. Yes,
well,
it does.
When you think about it, we're clenching right now because we're bracing we're bracing for the pension crisis, which we're trying to ignore, and it's going to hurt us. Now, I was upset because Everett Dirksen's favorite flower, of course. Do you remember what Everett Dirksen's favorite flower was, Tim?
I do not.
It was the marigold.
Oh.
And he always wanted that to replace the American Beauty Rose.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just think in honor of Everett Dirksen that we would have a marigold on the flag. I saw no submissions that showed Chief Alinowick. Now, hear me out. Just hear me out. Rich Lowry, a rhino, okay, right? Like me, for National Review, has been tweeting recently about the possibility of the return of the Redskins. There has been this movement to bring back the Redskins logo for the Washington team. Well, Illinois could be a trendsetter by putting Chief Alinowick on the new flag. Think about that. I'm sure Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson would go for that.
Actually, the Chicago Blackhawk might actually.
There you go. Totally. Who doesn't like that?
Yep.
And now, do you know what the study of flags is called? It's called vexillology.
Wow.
I was thinking my favorite vexillologist was Paul Winchell, but then I found out that vexillology is the study of flags. If you ever watched The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper was a vexillologist, and he would have fun with flags. And that just shows you the level that we're talking about, that we're even discussing the flag in the state of Illinois.
I don't even, there's a lot of flags I could sketch in my head. State of Illinois, I don't even know what it is.
It's vague. It's vague. But one of them had this gigantic blue section with a star in it for Chicago, and appropriately blue. And then on the right side were some red stripes. I don't know what that stood for, but then the white space in between was an I. But it showed the division between Chicago and the rest of the state, and Chicago kind of dominates that map. So that was a little. So
you agree all those are pathetic, right?
Yeah, they're all bad.
And then there's states have cool flags with like battle flags, like Maryland. We don't have anything cool like that.
What is the flag that you're showing me right now? What is that?
That's I guess
that
that's
is Maryland. It looks like the Maryland 500. It's what they wave at the end of that race.
That looks to me like jockey silks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it looks like to me.
Better than the Maryland 500.
I mean, the Ravens used it on their logo. The University of Maryland uses it on their helmets.
That looks like something, and even the flag itself looks like it has the tip of a spear on top. It looks like something that you do go into battle with.
Well, you need that when you J6, right?
Well, or you want
that's
to
what they call weapons with the flagpoles.
Or you want to plant that flag at the center of Ohio Stadium if you're Michigan and you've won the game. Did you see somebody who actually was proposing legislation in Ohio to make it illegal to plant a flag at the center of the field because of what happened a couple of weeks ago when Michigan upset Ohio State? You may as well have some legislation that vouchsafes that Ohio State will have a decent enough football team to beat Michigan when it's heavily favored. But
that's the thing though, Chris, is you really don't need a state flag anymore. I mean, it was kind of important in Illinois, in the Civil War, for Illinois to have a state flag. Is there really any necessity in 2024?
Yeah, but Maryland,
what about the states?
Maryland has a crest, and it's like because it was a colony, it has something cool going on. Then someone said, what if Maryland flag looked like every other lame state flag and it would look like that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, boring.
Right. But I'm just saying we need flags because flags are symbols of the fact that we're a republic and not a democracy run by the tyranny of the mere majority. I would think that somebody who had voted for Trump 3 times, like you have, would be in favor of.
You don't know who I voted for.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Right. There
you go. Sacred secret vote.
There you go. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle, and Chris on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. So, and there's some video of this. Again, if you're not watching, do you think RFK Jr. is doing legitimate pull-ups in this video? Craig Brocky was tweeting about, how great RFK Jr. is because he can do pull-ups. And I've seen some people have actually tweeted that those are fake pull-ups. He doesn't go all the way up. Now, look, I couldn't even do a fake one. But look, he's not going all the way up. He's not getting his chin over the bar.
Huh.
That's
and
not
we can't see his feet. He might be standing on a box too.
Right. I mean,
oh yeah,
it sounds like it looks like RFK's been eating too many bowls of Fruit Loops, and he needs to get in a little better shape.
You think he would, if he really wanted a valuable workout, he should be doing burpees, because he'd if his dad did those, he'd still have one.
I need to parse that one. Okay,
boy. That's where you jump for the floor.
There you go. There you go.
Anyway, horrible.
Hey, they're nothing like
horrible, tasteless, complicated, worthless joke.
We're making fun of a guy who assassinated a healthcare CEO, father of 2. Everybody in the United States is having fun with this. And so, and besides, RFK Jr. is so 1960. RFK is so 1968. Boy, if tragedy plus time does ever equals comedy,
I think it's like the how is the play, Mrs. Lincoln? I think once the century passes, it's okay.
My formula was always tragedy plus 0 equals comedy. Because it was
that's why I agree with that. That's why I'm so famous.
Yeah, well, my justification for that was, especially in today's hurly-burly world, you've got about 12 seconds to react to something, and then we're on to the next thing.
Sure.
But I remember when Harold Washington died, Channel 7 did Fahey Flynn was a beloved newscaster in Chicago. And when he died, there were a lot of testimonials on his behalf. And one of them came from Mayor Washington, who was still alive at that point. And he said that he loved Fahey because he was such a gentleman and he never pestered you with, I think what Washington was basically saying was a follow-up question. In other words, he was a hack, is what he was. And I pointed that out, and my program director on the loop, the irreverent loop, chewed me out for making fun of Fahey Flynn. And, I've run into these Bob Collins died, the WGN morning guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go into the long story regarding it, but basically it came down to that Collins, because WGN has always is come in after the pioneers take the arrows in their backs, and WGN is the settlers. And, I said, it was nice that he had finally arrived in 1980 by the time he died, as far as, what was comedically allowable. And I got criticized for that too. What do you mean? The guy just Uncle Bobby, they called him. And it was funny because the news anchors I was working with, I liked them very much, but they were typical news anchors. They had no idea who this guy was. But they were calling him Uncle Bobby. And I was like, look, I know this guy. Okay. But see, and that's why I'm famous.
Creepy uncle? Creepy uncle? Is that what you're implying there?
No. No, he's just bland, is what he was.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
okay. That's
I mean, it's
why he was on
WGN.
WGN. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's what they're all about. Hey, so there was this tweet from Honestly with Barry Weiss. Okay, and we talked about Barry Weiss last week, how honest she is about whatever ignorance she has. But she had this guy Mark Andreessen on. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's some muckety muck smart guy and everything like that. He's worried about the Biden administration controlling AI like years ago, how physics were controlled by the government. And, you know, I'm not a deep state kind of guy. I don't necessarily believe it, but it sounds like it's the deep state.
In May, we had meetings in DC in May where we talked to them about this, and the meetings were absolutely horrifying, and we came out and basically decided we had to endorse Trump.
Mark, add so little color to absolutely horrifying. What did you hear in those meetings?
They said, look, AI is one of these technology. AI is a technology basically that the government is going to completely control. This is not going to be a startup thing. They actually said flat out to us, don't do AI startups. Like don't fund AI startups. That's not something that we're going to allow to happen. They're not going to be allowed to exist. There's no point. They basically said AI is going to be a game of 2 or 3 big companies working closely with the government. And we're going to basically wrap them in I'm paraphrasing, but we're going to basically wrap them in a government cocoon.
I mean, if the government is in cahoots, and controlling AI, which is already scary enough, it's that's something to worry about, not the circuses of J6. Am I right or wrong about this?
Wait, the government controlling tech? Boy, that doesn't ever happen.
Well, I mean, the government manipulates things supposedly to our benefit, all the time.
The government, like anyone, benefits itself. It works to benefit.
Well, and those it's in cahoots with. I mean, the great myth is that big business hates government, but big business loves government because it together with government can knock out competition.
Sure.
So yeah, I understand that. The prudent investment rule that used to exist. I don't, or it may exist in some form, but it was basically it prohibited lots of entities from investing in venture capital, whatever, and it's made you stick with the blue chippers who were sclerotic, and because of that, there wasn't a lot of innovation. And I'm convinced that my career benefited greatly from the fact that the prudent investment rule retarded the development of technology to the point that the iPhone really didn't hit stride until around 2010. Because if it had hit in like 1990 or 2000, which it could have had technology not been delayed, I'm out of a job. I'm podcasting with some tinfoil guy who's got a picture of an orca behind him or whatever. So I mean, that's how government is in cahoots and works for the benefit of itself and slows things down. People don't see that, of course. They don't, because it does it with a nibble here and a nibble there and nibble everywhere. But,
well, what I always like to point out is that it was about 60 years from the Wright brothers' first flight to a man on the moon. Just 60 years. Yeah. And it's been 60 years since man first on the moon. Right. There's what technological leap other than all of us sitting with our faces in our phones have we actually
We're not flying. There's no flying cars. What happened to the flying cars?
Yeah.
No, we should be disappointed. All right. Let's move to the breaded circuses.
I think that's why there's so many kids on Prozac, because they don't have the future. We're supposed to have flying cars and men on the hotels on the moon, and maybe they were jetpacks. Maybe they were lying to us, but at least it was optimistic.
Well, I mean, and everybody's delaying, marriage and having families. They're sitting in their mother's basement, which is actually a good thing if they're doing that, because otherwise they could be Luigi Mangione. And I
think he was sitting in his mom's basement, but it's a huge basement.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, it's a rich kid
with a maid.
But I mean, he's he was like 26 years old. Somebody pointed out he could have been on his parents' insurance as if he needed it till that age. But my whole thing is, hey, why wasn't he married and having kids already? This guy was like a surfer, and he was just like.
That's a good point. He was 26 years old, so he was about to get dumped off his parents' insurance. I think you might have solved the crime there.
I know. Sometimes it's an Occam's razor, my dear Watson. Yeah, it's that he was going to lose his parents' insurance, so he was going to take it out on the head of the insurance company. Did you see Caitlyn? I want to say Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlin Clark was named Time Magazine's Female Athlete of the Year or Athlete of the Year.
Sure.
And oh my God, this woman is such a politician. You talk about, she has rhetorical moves that are the equivalent of Pete Maravich on the basketball court. Because one thing, she was talking about how everything she's ever done in her career, she worked for and she deserved. She earned what she got. But in the same breath, she said she's white privileged. Well, you decide what you want, honey. Okay. And that's my choice of pronoun for you. Decide what you want, because if you're white privileged, you didn't earn everything you got. And if you earned everything you got, you're not white privileged. But that's the fine line she's got to walk in order to play in that league, which of course didn't exist until she really wasn't on the map until she joined it. But okay.
Well, and if you look at the makeup of the basketball, the professional basketball, the privilege does not seem to be on the side of the whites.
Agreed. And what about short people? I mean, come on, they got no body. So
there should be a short league, shouldn't there?
I think there have been in the past, but it's kind of like women's basketball. Nobody really wanted to watch it.
Well, midget wrestling is popular.
Yeah, you got that right. You absolutely have that.
Can we call that, or do we have to call it little persons wrestling now?
It's a good one. That's a good one. So did you see this deal that Juan Soto got to join the Mets? It's like $763 million over 15 years. It's an ungodly amount.
We are headed towards the first $1 billion contract.
Well, and here's the thing. It's the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Remember last week we talked about the golden at bat where you could bring in anybody. I think the poorer teams, the Oakland A's, whatever, get to use the golden bat if they're playing Juan Soto. What
is Juan Soto's position? What I don't.
Oh, but he plays the outfield poorly.
Oh,
but
just a hitter?
For $763 million, he should be playing 3 positions out there, right? Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.